The housing crash of 2025 isn't hiding in small towns or forgotten suburbs. It's unfolding right now in Florida's 5 largest cities: Jacksonville, Miami, Tampa, Orlando, St. Petersburg. These powerhouse metros that defined the pandemic boom are now leading the state's brutal correction. Prices are collapsing. Insurance costs are destroying affordability. Inventory is surging to levels unseen in over a decade. And here's the shocker. One of these cities has just been crowned the most at-risk housing market in the entire world. According to the UBS Global Real Estate Bubble Index, Miami now holds the global #1 spot for housing collapse risk, beating out Tokyo, London, and Hong Kong. So which Florida giant is teetering on the edge? Which ones are already in free fall? Stick around, because in this countdown, we're exposing the top 5 Florida cities where the housing market is cracking wide open. This isn't just a slowdown. It's a full-scale shakeup that could redefine real estate across the entire Sunshine State. Hit subscribe to Housing Intel and ring that bell so you never miss market intelligence like this. The story of Florida's housing market in 2025 is a story of hubris meeting reality. Between 2020 and 2023, the state became ground zero for migration, remote work, and speculative investment. Home prices skyrocketed. Bidding wars were brutal. Inventory vanished overnight. But fast forward to today, and the script has flipped violently. Mortgage rates hovering near 7% have choked demand. Insurance premiums have doubled or tripled in many markets, adding thousands of dollars annually to ownership costs. Climate risks from hurricanes to flooding are no longer abstract threats, but actuarial nightmares driving insurers out of the state entirely. And perhaps most damaging, the oversupply created by pandemic-era building frenzy is now suffocating the market. Builders who bet big on endless growth are watching inventory pile up, while desperate buyers have disappeared. The correction is real, it's measurable, and it's hitting Florida's biggest cities harder than anyone predicted. From the sprawling suburbs of Jacksonville to the luxury condos of Miami, no market is bulletproof. Let's count down the 5 largest Florida cities where the crash is already underway. Number 5. Orlando. Orlando, the theme park capital of the world, has always been a magnet for tourists, transplants, and investors. With a population of 334,000, it's Florida's 4th largest city and the anchor of a massive metro area. But in 2025, the magic is fading fast from Orlando's housing market. Year-over-year inventory has surged 41.5%. That's not a gentle increase. That's a flood of homes hitting the market with nowhere near enough buyers to absorb them. Even more alarming, 31.7% of all active listings now feature price reductions. Sellers are slashing prices just to attract attention, and even then, homes are sitting. The median home price in Orlando hovers around $410,000, but with median household income barely reaching $62,000, the affordability gap is staggering. Buyers are stretched beyond their limits. Mortgage payments that were manageable at 3% interest rates are now crushing at 7%. Add in homeowners insurance averaging $6,000 annually, up from $3,000 just 3 years ago, and the math simply doesn't work anymore. Orlando's economy, heavily reliant on tourism and hospitality, isn't generating the kind of wage growth needed to support these price levels. Construction jobs that boomed during the pandemic have slowed dramatically. New residents who flooded in from high-cost states like California and New York are now trickling, not rushing. The market that once felt unstoppable is now balanced at best and teetering toward oversupply at worst. Orlando still has its attractions, but for real estate investors and home buyers, 2025 is starting to feel more like a trap than an opportunity. Number 4. Jacksonville. Jacksonville, Florida's largest city by both population and land area, boasts over 1 million residents spread across 840 square miles. It's a logistics powerhouse, a military hub, and a city that saw explosive growth during the pandemic. But that growth came at a cost, and now Jacksonville is paying the price. Home prices in Jacksonville have surged over 40% since 2020, climbing from a median of $260,000 to well over $360,000 today. That kind of rapid appreciation screams overheating, and the market is starting to crack. Active inventory has climbed steadily throughout 2025, and homes are sitting on the market longer than at any point since 2008. The condo market in particular is in crisis. Older buildings plagued by deferred maintenance and skyrocketing insurance premiums are facing mass exodus. Some condo owners are underwater, unable to sell without taking significant losses. Others are trapped by special assessments that can reach $50,000 or more per unit just to cover structural repairs and insurance shortfalls. Jacksonville's economy, anchored by Jacksport and logistics, has taken hits as shipping volumes declined 14% year over year. That slowdown ripples through paychecks, loan approvals, and housing demand. Insurance rates in flood-prone areas have jumped 60%, with some riverfront properties now paying $8,000 to $10,000 annually. Property taxes have climbed alongside home values, squeezing homeowners from every angle. And with 1 in 5 homes investor-owned, the market is flooded with rental properties and speculative flips that aren't moving. Jacksonville is sliding into a correction that could take years to stabilize. The city still offers space and opportunity, but the housing market in 2025 is wobbling hard. Number 3. St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg, known for its vibrant waterfront, thriving arts scene, and downtown renaissance, has long been Tampa Bay's stylish neighbor. With a population of 267,000, it's Florida's 5th largest city and a market that exploded during the pandemic. But in 2025, St. Pete is facing a reckoning. Inventory has more than doubled, surging from 3,186 active listings to over 8,000. That's the highest level in nearly a decade, and it's crushing prices. Median home values have fallen 9% year over year, dropping from $450,000 to around $410,000. Homes that vanished in days during 2022 are now sitting for 48 days or longer. Sellers are panicking. Realtors are staging elaborate open houses with wine tastings and live music, all to no avail. Buyers have simply walked away. The culprit? A brutal combination of overpricing, insurance chaos, and affordability collapse. Waterfront properties that once symbolized luxury living now come with annual insurance premiums exceeding $10,000. Some carriers have pulled out of St. Petersburg entirely, forcing homeowners into high-risk state pools with exorbitant rates. Flood insurance alone can cost $6,000 to $8,000 annually in vulnerable zones. Add in HOA fees that often exceed $500 monthly, and ownership becomes unsustainable even for high earners. The local income dynamic isn't helping either. With median household income under $58,000, locals are priced out entirely. Many are fleeing to more affordable nearby cities like Largo, Dunedin, and Clearwater, further depressing demand in St. Pete proper. Investors who rushed in during the Airbnb boom are now competing in a saturated rental market with plummeting occupancy rates and slashed nightly prices. Some properties purchased at the peak are now underwater, both financially and literally in flood-prone neighborhoods. St. Petersburg remains beautiful, creative, and vibrant, but its housing market in 2025 is under crushing pressure, and the correction is far from over. Number 2. Tampa. Tampa, the economic engine of Florida's West Coast, has been the state's crown jewel for real estate investors. With a population of 414,000 and a metro area exceeding 3 million, Tampa defined the pandemic boom. But in 2025, that crown is slipping fast. Active inventory has surged 36.3% year-over-year, climbing from under 3,000 listings to over 4,500 homes. Builders went wild between 2021 and 2023, throwing up condos and subdivisions across every corner of the metro. But they overshot badly. Now the inventory sits while buyers have vanished. Interest rates hovering near 7% have pushed monthly mortgage payments from $1,800 to over $2,600 for the same home. That jump is pricing out thousands of would-be buyers who qualified just 2 years ago. Median home prices in Tampa peaked near $470,000, but are now showing steady monthly declines. Price reductions are everywhere. Investors are panic selling, with some listings marked down 5 to 10% just to offload properties before the market deteriorates further. The insurance crisis is hammering Tampa harder than almost anywhere else in Florida. Average homeowners insurance now costs $8,770 annually, nearly 4 times the national average of $2,423. Coastal properties face even steeper premiums, often exceeding $12,000 per year. Hurricane risk isn't theoretical anymore. It's a financial reality, crushing budgets and derailing mortgage approvals. Property taxes have climbed 40% since 2023 as assessed values soared. Combined with insurance, HOA fees, and maintenance, Tampa homeownership now costs over 60% of median income for local families. That's not sustainable. It's a recipe for foreclosure waves and forced selling. The rental market is struggling too. Oversupply has driven down rents while vacancy rates climb. Landlords who bought at the peak are now facing negative cash flow, forcing them to sell at losses. Tampa's job market, while still strong in sectors like healthcare and finance, isn't growing fast enough to support the housing price levels. Migration has slowed to a crawl. The out-of-state buyers who fueled the boom have moved on to cheaper markets. Tampa still has sunny skies and waterfront views, but the housing market in 2025 is no longer soaring. It's correcting hard. If you're finding this breakdown eye-opening, hit that subscribe button to Housing Intel right now. We bring data-driven real estate intelligence that cuts through the hype and protects your investments. Ring that bell so you never miss an update. Number 1. Miami. Miami, the Magic City, has always been synonymous with luxury, glamour, and explosive real estate growth. With a population of 487,000 and a metro area of over 6 million, Miami is Florida's economic and cultural heart. It's also, according to the UBS Global Real Estate Bubble Index released in September 2025, the single most at-risk housing market on planet Earth. That's not hyperbole. That's a global financial institution warning the world that Miami's bubble is the biggest and most dangerous. Miami's bubble risk score hit 1.73, the highest of any major city analyzed worldwide, surpassing Tokyo at 1.68, Zurich at 1.59, and Los Angeles at 1.44. UBS analysts cite a catastrophic combination of overvaluation, speculative excess, and unsustainable price-to-income ratios. Miami home prices have detached completely from economic fundamentals. The median sale price now exceeds $600,000, while median household income barely crosses $57,000. That disconnect is wider than it was at the peak of the 2006 bubble, and we all know how that ended. But the data gets even more alarming. Over the past 12 months, the Florida housing market has shed $100 billion in value. That's not a typo. $100 billion evaporated as prices cooled, inventory surged, and buyers fled. Miami has been at the epicenter of that collapse. Luxury condo towers that sold out during pre-construction are now sitting with 30 to 40% unsold units. Developers are slashing prices, offering seller financing, and throwing in everything from furniture packages to Tesla vehicles just to move inventory. It's desperation masked as incentive. The condo crisis in Miami goes beyond unsold units. Older buildings are facing financial apocalypse. The Surfside collapse in 2021 triggered statewide reforms requiring reserve funding and structural inspections. The result? Special assessments reaching $100,000 or more per unit in some buildings. Owners can't afford them. They can't sell because buyers won't touch buildings with pending assessments. And they can't refinance because lenders view these properties as toxic. It's a death spiral playing out across Miami-Dade County. Insurance is the final nail in the coffin. Miami homeowners are paying the highest insurance premiums in the nation, often exceeding $15,000 annually for waterfront properties. Some luxury condos in flood zones face premiums of $25,000 or more per year. Citizens Property Insurance, Florida's insurer of last resort, is overwhelmed and raising rates aggressively. Many carriers have abandoned the state entirely, leaving homeowners scrambling for coverage that's both insufficient and unaffordable. Climate risk isn't abstract in Miami. It's existential. Sea level rise, hurricane intensification, and tidal flooding are actuarial realities, reshaping insurance models and property values. Neighborhoods like Miami Beach, Brickell, and Aventura face long-term viability questions that no amount of luxury branding can answer. Add in skyrocketing HOA fees, often exceeding $1,000 monthly in newer buildings, and ownership becomes a financial black hole. The investor exodus is accelerating. Foreign buyers from Latin America, once a pillar of Miami's market, have pulled back sharply as currency fluctuations and economic instability hit home countries. Domestic investors who piled in during the pandemic are now racing to exit before losses deepen. Short-term rental operators are drowning in oversupply, with occupancy rates down 20% year over year and nightly rates slashed to stay competitive. Miami's jobs market, while strong in finance and hospitality, isn't producing the wage growth needed to support these housing costs. Traffic congestion, infrastructure strain, and rising crime in some neighborhoods are eroding quality of life. The city that once symbolized the American dream is now a cautionary tale of speculation, overbuilding, and bubble dynamics spiraling out of control. UBS didn't issue their warning lightly. When the world's leading wealth management institution singles out Miami as the global epicenter of housing bubble risk, that's a flashing red alarm that cannot be ignored. The message is unmistakable. Florida's 5 largest cities are all facing housing market corrections in 2025, and the risks are escalating across the board. From Orlando's inventory surge to Jacksonville's overheating, from St. Petersburg's price collapse to Tampa's insurance crisis, and finally to Miami's status as the world's most vulnerable bubble market, no major city in Florida is safe. Equity is vanishing. Affordability is destroyed. And the dream of owning property in the Sunshine State is turning into a financial nightmare for thousands of families who bought at the peak. But here's the truth. Armed with this data, you can make informed decisions. You can avoid the traps, wait out the chaos, and position yourself strategically for the recovery that will eventually come. Knowledge is your greatest asset in a volatile market. So if this analysis opened your eyes, smash that like button right now. Subscribe to Housing Intel for weekly data-driven market intelligence that protects your investments and keeps you ahead of the curve. Drop a comment below and tell us which city shocked you the most. Are you buying, selling, or waiting on the sidelines? We read every single comment. And don't go anywhere, because the housing market story is just beginning, and we're tracking every twist and turn. We'll see you in the next breakdown, where we reveal the markets that are actually worth your money in 2025. Because sometimes knowing where not to buy is the smartest investment decision of all.